Hello, I'm Carolyn, your host, and welcome to a certified teachers only weekly mini. This is your exclusive bite-sized workshop on the hottest acro topics. You can reference all of our previous weekly minis and more amazing content on the AcroDance Resource Center. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and we'll do our best to answer those for you in follow-up. And if you know another certified teacher who should hear about today's topic, be a friend, tag them right now, and let them know we're here. Today, we are pleased to present the second in a three-part series dedicated to promoting correct technique in specific AcroDance skills, including illusions, cartwheels, and walkovers, with master teacher Loren Dermody. Loren has been with acrobatic arts since the beginning, and she continues to share her creativity and years of experience towards the growth of new programs and the expansion of the syllabus. She is an acrobatic arts course conductor, examiner, head of research and development for the company, as well as being the current host of the Acrobatic Arts podcast. Today, we are pleased to present a breakdown of cartwheels. This is part 2 of 3. I'll put the link for part 1 in the comments so that you can access it there. You can also find it on the AcroDance Resource Center. Let's cue her up for this amazing presentation. Miss Loren, take it away.
Thanks, Carolyn. Great to be back. And today I'm talking about the cartwheel. So it does jump a little bit from the illusion that I did a couple weeks ago. So you might want to go back and watch that, but I'm going to start with the cartwheel. As I said with the illusion, I sort of give you the answers first, what skills I think really help the cartwheel. And then we look at some of maybe the things that go wrong and how we can correct them and why starting at the beginning is so important. So I had 2 dancers help me. This is Allie and this is Juliana. And I did tell them not to be perfect so that I could tell you some of the corrections that I would tell my students. So we talked about the open split versus the square split. So you can see that the dancers sometimes lean to one side when they do the open split. So I am going to ask them to do their square split. I feel it gives them a little more flexibility of the legs and hips, but we need the rotation for the cartwheel, so it's okay to do the open split as well. Now we also have the forward bend, and we can see that if they don't get their legs straight, or if their hips are behind their heels, or maybe they even have a round back, they still really need to work on the flexibility of this forward bend. And then for strength, we're using the V-sit. We want good core connection. We want the arms straight, the legs straight, and of course, plank all the time. We want to be strong in our arms, especially for a cartwheel. And we want to create that nice connection between the top of the head and the feet. Now, an added flexibility skill that I would use for cartwheels is your center split. So we can see the dancers are in their center split. Some dancers have their hips too far in front of their knees and their ankles. So we want to make sure that they keep that straight line. And on the flip side of that, some of your dancers will also have their hips too far back behind their knees and ankles. Here they go. So now they're too far back. Both of these can be corrected by either putting them on a line, or maybe you have a piece of tape or Velcro that you can put on your mats and make sure that they stay on that line and that they're not going too far forward or too far back. And then the other thing that we really want to make sure when they're doing their center splits is that the knees are not bending. So we can see that both of these dancers are letting their legs relax a little bit, and I would ask them both to stretch them more so that they're getting the strength in the proper alignment of the center split, which we will need in the cartwheel. And you can already start to imagine that if their center splits weren't this flexible, the cartwheel, it's going to affect the shape of their cartwheel. So now I'm going to take them to the wall and we're going to work on their handstand, because they really need to know that straight position to have a nice straight cartwheel. So we can see this dancer is working on her nice handstand technique, and I'm even going to ask her to open her legs to that straddle eventually. You can see she changed the position of her head. So when you're working on the cartwheel, it really is okay to look at the floor or their hands, or have the head in line. So when you're at the wall, you can practice both as well. Now here she goes. She's going to open to her straddle. And we can see she is almost hitting a flat line, which will look really nice in her cartwheel when she performs it. I love these brick I love these bricks on the wall because we can use the lines to help the dancer get an even straddle. So that is a common mistake that some of your dancers will have. You could even practice that in a headstand, and they can look in the mirror to make sure that they get that straddle flat across. But here I could use the lines on the wall. She found the straddle, and then she can come back up to her straight handstand, and we can move on to the handstands in the center. So of course, L handstand is a great one to practice even before you're doing a cartwheel. We want to make sure that the dancers are getting that nice stacked alignment. You can see that they're trying to do some things wrong so that I can help everyone a little bit more. And we do want to have a nice vertical handstand, nice and strong. And we'll see that the dancer on the right isn't quite achieving the vertical alignment I would like. So her cartwheel might actually not be on top of her arms and her hands. It might be a little bit forward. So I'm going to keep asking her to try to get a more vertical straight handstand. Now we're going to move on to the progressions of our cartwheel. So again, I like the lines on the floor, even if you don't have a stack or handprints to practice with. I'm going to ask her to put her hands on one line, and then her feet are going to have to get over the middle line. So there's a horizontal line and a vertical line. So she gets her feet nicely over the vertical line, and again, going back, and we do right and left from the very beginning. So don't let them choose a favorite side. Then we do a big step over the line. So she puts her hands down, and she did a little hop on that one, over the line. Then she can kick into her cartwheel, but you can see her legs are still coming forward. I would assume that she's not comfortable with that handstand position. And then once she's comfortable, she can do the cartwheel both ways with her legs over top. Now let's see if we can get our dancers to do some things that are common errors in a cartwheel, and see if you can pick them out, and then we'll slow it down. I think that one was easy to see. So bent legs, her hands aren't in line with each other, and we can see that her head, she's not really looking at her hands, and she's not really looking at the front. So she needs to decide what her head position should be. And also with those legs bent, that goes back to your center split flexibility. So I would ask her to show me her center splits. Chances are she isn't that far off, or she probably is far off the ground. So we would work on that. Now, this is another common error in the cartwheels. And we'll slow it down. Again, they had a lot of fun trying to do things wrong for you. So we can see that she's not getting a big split. So that's going to change the look of your cartwheel. And again, that's the flexibility. You can also see that when she's doing this, her leg is coming a little bit forward off that straight handstand alignment. So I might want to go back to the straight handstand as well. She needs to stretch her feet. I like to say if they can't stretch their legs and feet on the ground, you know, sitting up in their straddle or their center split, they sure won't be able to do it upside down in the cartwheel. So make sure that you really work on the center split to get a nice center split in the cartwheel. Now, she's doing something else. See if you can figure it out. Again, her hands, she placed one in front of the other, which causes her upper body to twist a little bit. Her head is back, so she's arching. Now let's see if she can correct that. And she does. She puts her head right through. She has a nice straight handstand. And sometimes it's a preference. So you might like the head looking to the front, maybe in pictures or on stage. But for this dancer, if she has her head looking at her hands and she's arching her back, then looking to the front might help that, and it'll be a stronger position for her cartwheel and maybe even help her travel straight. And now I think we're having Juliana come on. Let's see what Juliana comes up with. Okay, so again, we see the lack of flexibility in the straddle and the split. And I had her do it coming forward so that you can really see that she's not hitting that handstand position. Now, some of your dancers won't even have that nice stacked position up to their hips. They might be more on a diagonal, but you can see how the legs traveling horizontal instead of vertical is going to slow down the cartwheel. It's going to make it a little choppy, and it's just not going to look as pleasing to the eye as one that is hitting that nice straight handstand position. So that's what we had for cartwheels. They're saying their thank you. As I said, they had a lot of fun doing things wrong for you today. All right, so in conclusion, we need the proper strength and the proper flexibility to get a nice, well-rounded cartwheel. And it's great if you just start at the beginning, because then you might not encounter those problems that we saw. But if you're trying to correct some of those issues, then you take it back to the progressions and you should be able to pinpoint what you should be working on. All right, thank you very much, Carolyn, and I can't wait to come back and do walkovers.
Amazing, Miss Loren. Once again, what an incredible opportunity to take a moment to just take a step back and look at an AcroDance skill like a cartwheel and break down the skills for development that are required that build up to, like you said, starting from the very beginning. We are proactive in developing these skills in the flexibility and strength that we needed. So Miss Loren did an amazing job of wrapping that up. So we will move forward. Teachers, if you're looking for more skills, breakdowns, progressions, ideas, tips, and resources just like this, you'll want to check out the AcroDance Resource Center. This is not only the syllabus in the palm of your hand, but it's your #1 resource. It is chock-a-block full of resources like the share levels that work in tandem with the My Acro app. This is also where you can literally share syllabus levels with your students from their app, from your app to theirs, so that they can safely practice at home, as well as tools like our Assist Student, which allows you to superimpose real-time video of your students up against our dancer demos that appear in the app to give corrections and show dancers where improvements and adjustments can be made. The possibilities are endless. You should know that in September, we start a back to class sale where you can receive an additional 10% off the AcroDance Resource Center. You already get an incredible savings as a certified teacher. This gives you even more. Don't miss out on this opportunity. I'll put a link in the comments where you can sign up early to access the sale code for the sale before it even begins on September 1st. So thank you again, teachers, for being here. Thank you again, Loren, Ali, and Juliana. We will see you all again next time. Bye.